Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the NFL podcast, 3 Yards in a Cloud of Dust. I'm your host, Josh, and as always, my co-host is here with me,
Hi.
Johnny. How you doing, bud?
Exhausted.
Oh, yeah, I bet. So, I mean,
A lot has
so, yeah, a lot has happened over the last couple of days. Few big things, nothing really as big as kind of last week. Obviously, last week was the announcement of the retirement of Drew Brees.
That was huge.
Yeah, that was huge for the game. So, I mean, we don't have anything on that scale this week, but we do have some pretty big signings going on. So let's just go ahead and jump right into what's new.
Yep.
First off, we finally get, this happened the day after we recorded last week.
Yeah.
And so it did make it in. And that is the re-signing or the signing of Juju Smith-Schuster to the Steelers on a 1-year, $8 million deal.
Which we knew he was going to get re-signed. It was just a matter of when.
Well, here's the thing. For a while there, a lot of people didn't know if the Steelers were going to re-sign him. I mean, sure, they knew the Steelers would make him an offer, but they had no idea he was going to do what he actually did, and that was actually turn down better offers to stay with the Steelers one more year.
Well, you also heard that he put out on social media that he wants to stay with the Steelers no matter what.
Right.
Which meant, if that meant turning down more money to stay with the Steelers, he did. And he showed it.
But the way he phrased it was that basically if the offer was good enough, he would be willing to take it if it was with someone else. So apparently, even though the other offers he got were more, they weren't good enough.
Nope. So I'm pretty sure he was looking more for like almost $20 million a year for like 2-3 years, but nothing was able to hit that caliber with the cap space.
Now, this next signing actually happened before we started recording last week, but I actually forgot to put it in the notes for the episode.
And it's Andy Dalton, the quarterback, who actually signed with the Bears for a 1-year, $10 million deal.
Yeah, but it sounds like the Bears may still be holding out hope to try and get Deshaun Watson or even Russell Wilson.
Yeah, and which is probably why they only did $10 million, and he inked it because it was there. It's money, and it's a team that he's always in, and he doesn't have to look for it.
Yeah, and I mean the good thing about Andy Dalton is he has winning records behind him. He has won with teams before. Like, he had several winning seasons when he first came in with the Bengals.
Yeah.
And then unfortunately, he fell off the last couple of years. But I actually think the Bears may be getting a better quarterback than a lot of people think.
Yep, and the other one is a cornerback, Desmond King, who also signed 1 year with the Bears. We're not fully sure what he signed for. We'll get more into that next week when we actually know if it does get put out.
Basically, the terms of the deal haven't been released yet, and we've got several of those going on today. Especially this next one, notable signing of Deshaun Jackson to the Rams for a 1-year deal. His deal also has an undisclosed amount currently. We don't know the terms of the deal. The only thing we do know that is for 1 year. But it's actually a pretty decent signing, though.
But that's a good signing for the Rams.
Yeah, because they really didn't have a legitimate deep threat after getting rid of Brandon Cooks.
Yeah.
And I actually think not only are they getting a legitimate deep threat, but they're getting a deep threat with consistent hands.
Yeah, and he can pull down those one-handers every now and then, and it's like, that's going to be big for the game, and especially for the team if they want to get farther into the playoffs.
Yeah.
So now going into the next one, it's Jared Cook, a tight end who signed 1 year for $6 million to the Chargers.
And, I'm not surprised that the Chargers went out and signed him. I'm surprised that the Saints didn't re-sign him.
Yeah, it's like, but I also see that they want to kind of get newer players in with their new quarterback that they're going to be bringing in to kind of mesh better with the quarterback than what Drew Brees had to because all the players that they did have meshed with Drew Brees, not for the new quarterback.
Well, here's the thing. We don't really know who the new quarterback is going to be at this point. It could be Taysom Hill. It could be not Deshaun, but Jameis Winston.
Exactly.
But here's the thing. They both trained, but both of them had first-team snaps with those targets last year. You had Taysom Hill and Jameis Winston, who both started games last year with that core.
Yeah.
So getting rid of somebody, I mean, I get it. Jared Cook, he's not as fast as he used to be. But the fact that he's still a solid pass catcher, he's still a big target. He's a big man.
Yeah, and he's roughly around the same size as Gronk is. Roughly. He's probably a little bit smaller than that.
Yeah.
But he's around the same size, though.
Yeah, but I mean, I do get it a little bit. He is in his 30s, and that's when tight ends really kind of start to slow down.
Because they're taking a good blunt of the hits.
Yeah. Next, we've got a surprise out of Miami, and that is the releasing of offensive tackle Isaiah Williams, who the Dolphins just recently traded for from the Texans.
Yeah, which something else happened during that, but I'm not fully sure why. I'm gonna look more into that during this week, but I think it was more of the matter of fact that he didn't really want to be there to begin with, so he didn't really show initiative to actually want to come. Because I think he wanted to go to another team, and he ended up being traded to a team he didn't want.
I mean, it's just, it's surprising that they would allow him to go because they need that offensive line.
They really do, and I think, but they have to really get their players for the offensive line through the draft.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yep. Another surprise signing by the Dolphins is Will Fuller from the Texans, the wide receiver, for a 1 year, $10 million deal.
And that's a big jump for the Dolphins because they already don't have very many really good wide receivers, and he's a good one to pick up for Tua.
Yeah, I mean, he's a solid wide receiver. He's not the best. He's definitely no DeAndre Hopkins. He's not, he's not not even a Henry Ruggs. He's not really, he's not going to sit there and wow you with his speed, but he's a solid pass catcher.
And he doesn't have a lot of speed, no, but he does have a little bit of strength behind him, so he can kind of break tackles a little bit easier too.
Mm-hmm.
So that has his advantage.
Yeah.
So less speed, but more power.
Right.
Now we go into the Texans with Dante Moncrief.
Dante Moncrief.
Dante Moncrief for a 1 year that is unknown at the moment.
Yeah, once again another one where the terms have not been disclosed at the moment, and it looks like the Dante Moncrief signing is probably to replace the loss of Will Fuller.
Yes, I guarantee it. And what I want to see is how much are they going to pay for him for that 1 year?
Yeah, because Moncrief, he has not been great since his time with the Colts.
Yeah, and he's what, in his mid-30s at this point?
I don't remember his age at the moment, but he's either late 20s, early 30s, something like that.
And it's like he's already going downhill, or we may have a wide receiver set up as, again, Aaron Rodgers. Well, his prime is not really a prime. Because Aaron Rodgers is really the only one we've seen where his prime was the downfall. And then right when he got out of that prime, it shot back up.
Yeah, I can see that.
So, but
usually for wide receivers, it's you either have it early, and then you're able to maintain a steady caliber for the rest of your career, or you have it early and then you fall off, or you just don't have it at all. And I mean, Dante, he's had a few good years with the Colts, but outside of that, it really hasn't been anything stellar. I mean,
yeah, and
it really seems like yes, they're bringing him in to replace the hole left by Will Fuller, but it feels like a downgrade to me.
Yeah, because it's like, wasn't Because he with Andrew Luck, I believe, for one year before he suddenly retired, and then they had the backup for the 1 year.
Yeah.
So I think he was in the mix of that, and I think he just got tired of different quarterbacks coming in and not really being able to do much.
Yeah.
So I don't really blame him for signing with the Texans.
Oh no, I mean I don't blame him for signing. I'm not saying that. It's just it kind of baffles me with the little bit of the thought process going through the Texans front staff right now.
Yeah, and now we go into Desmond King, a cornerback who signed for 1 year, $3.5 million.
And this one was a surprise to me mainly because of the fact that the Titans gave up a lot to get him from the Chargers.
Yeah, but it was probably just not gonna. They want to kind of see how this guy plays out, and if he actually does well this season, they'll give him more money when the salary cap goes back up a little bit. But until that really happens, it's like all the players unfortunately have to take low paychecks because of the salary cap.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I know the salary cap is affecting a lot of people, and that's why we're seeing so many moves this offseason.
Especially with big names, too.
Yeah.
Which I am surprised about.
Yeah.
Because you have never seen this many big name moves in a while.
Mm-hmm.
Because J.J. Watt going to the Cardinals, that was big with that signing.
Yeah.
But off topic.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's still relevant, so.
Yeah.
No, I get what you're saying. I completely agree. It's all coming down to that salary cap, and either these guys are finding better deals with other teams who have the space to be able to sign them, or they're just not. Either they're just looking for a change, or there's a myriad of reasons why we're getting to see so many changes this offseason.
Either a change for a team, for the team, a change for themselves, or just basically more money.
Yeah.
So it comes down to those three things. And then we go over to Ryan Finley, who was traded from the Bengals with a 7th-round pick to the Texans for a 6th-round pick received from the Dolphins.
Yeah.
So it was a 3-team trade for that one.
No, it wasn't a 3-team trade. It was just a straight trade from the Bengals to the Texans. The Bengals traded Ryan Finley in the 7th-round pick for the 6th-round pick that the Texans had originally gotten for Isaiah Wilson from the Dolphins.
Yeah, that's what I'm at.
So, I mean, kind of going back to the Isaiah Wilson, you're really not losing out all that much because you only gave up a 6th-round pick for him to begin with.
Yeah. Even
though he's a former 1st-round pick himself. I mean, he's only been in the league for, 2 years?
Yeah. And
so,
he still has
it still is a little baffling that they let him go. It'll be interesting to see if anybody picks him up.
I guarantee it was because of salary cap they had to let him go.
Maybe.
Because he played extremely well for just being 2 years in. Mm-hmm. And he has a lot of potential to get upgraded, and they just did not have the cap space to give that to him.
Yeah. But this, with Ryan Finley going to the Texans, are we getting more of a sense that they actually may very well be moving on from Deshaun Watson before the season starts?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Because they already know if they keep Deshaun, he's going to force himself to sit. Because he does not want to play with the team anymore. Yeah. And he has multiple times requested, hey, I want to be traded. And they have yet to trade him.
Yeah, and I know they were kind of worried about what they were going to do, but obviously with the signing of Tyrod Taylor, after Taylor was released from the Chargers because due to the injury, and then of course Justin Herbert playing as well as he did, but it does seem like they may very well be actually getting ready to move on from Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, so if they do still have him at the beginning of the season, I only give it to about week 8 before they get rid of him.
Well, it has to be before. Is it week 8 or is it week 6 that the trade deadline is?
I want to say week 8. I will have to
I
double
think
check,
you're right.
but I think it's week 8 because I've never seen a trade deadline end up that early. Because remember, we do have that extra game too.
Not officially yet. There hasn't been an official announcement about 17 games this year. It's something that's being talked about as a possibility,
But
we won't know for sure until
closer to the season.
yeah. And it looks like right now with the opponents have already been released for every team this year. It looks like it's probably not going to happen this year, and if it does happen, the earliest it could happen is next year.
Yeah, but it's like I'm pretty sure the first thing they would do would be move the trade deadline first before they add that extra game in.
I think if they do move the trade deadline, it'll probably just be 1 week back, and that's it.
Yeah.
It's not going to be a major thing. They're not going to move it back to like week 13 or anything
Oh,
like
no,
that.
no,
They're
no.
not going to move it up to earlier in the season. No. I think they'll either keep it right where it is or they'll move it back by a week, and
Yeah.
that's it.
Because I believe it's week 8 right now.
Yeah, I believe you're right.
Because that's literally right in the middle of the season.
You think I know this by now, especially with how much Madden I play.
Yeah.
Okay, so next up we've got Sheldon Rankins, defensive tackle, signed by the Jets for 2 years, $17 million. That's actually a really good signing by the Jets. I like what Robert Saleh is doing for this team.
Yeah, and that is, like you said, it is a good pickup, and he did play actually extremely well.
Oh yeah, he's solid up the middle.
So it's like you would be crazy not to sign him.
Yeah. Now this next one though is a little iffy because it should be. I mean, you've got Lamarcus Joyner signing with him for 4.5 for 1 year.
Yeah.
And it looks like he's officially moved his position from corner to safety.
Yeah, which is something that we did talk about is where he would end up. And
I think if he plays as a safety, he might, be able to get a little bit of a resurgence in his career. But if they try to play him in the slot corner like the Raiders did, then they're not gonna get anything worthwhile out of him.
No, but I think the safety is probably the best spot for him because now you also have someone who can actually still make defensive plays, who starts farther back and can actually read the plays a little bit sooner.
Yeah, but it does look like the Jets are making some heads-up moves on the defense to try and better themselves.
Yeah.
Now, it's still kind of up in the air whether or not Sam Darnold will be their quarterback next year. A lot of people are thinking that they're going to draft a quarterback high with one of their early picks, and then move on from Sam Darnold altogether. He could end up being traded to be a backup somewhere, or potential successor somewhere, if he ends up in like a Tampa Bay or maybe even in Pittsburgh.
That one would be interesting if he ends up in Pittsburgh, though.
Well, here's the funny thing about that, too. If he were to end up in Pittsburgh, one of the things is I used to watch Sam Darnold when he played at USC. And when I was watching him play at USC, the first thing out of my mouth was, dude looks a lot like Ben Roethlisberger. The way he holds himself, the way he plays the game, he reminded me a lot of Ben Roethlisberger. And
young Ben.
So, yeah. And so, when, of course, I watched the year he got drafted, and what is everybody comparing him to? Ben Roethlisberger.
Yeah.
Which was hilarious. I was like, damn, I called that 3 years ago. So I think, I don't know if the Steelers would be looking for something like that. I think right now the love and lust is kind of fallen off of the Ben Roethlisberger wagon right now.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if they would be really open to the idea of having a younger version of Ben. Like, I mean, obviously, when he was younger, he was amazing. He did a lot of good stuff for the team.
Yeah,
but he's never been the greatest quarterback.
No, but he has also played through a lot of injuries, which that did cost him how well he played later on in his career.
Yeah, and he really has fallen off the last couple of years. So the Steelers do need to really think about finding his potential replacement.
Oh yeah, and I guarantee you they were already looking the last year. And
from what I understand, they've been looking the last 5 years. But what was it? It was 1 or 2 years ago when they drafted somebody and Ben was like, "Yeah, no, I'm not here to train the new guy."
I don't remember who it was.
But I remember those words coming out of his mouth, and it's that same, like I've talked about this before. It's that same kind of mentality that Aaron Rodgers had, that Brett Favre had when their potential replacements came onto the team.
It's their old style.
Yeah.
And Ben kept that old style, and when it should be, that old style should be more into the new of training up the new guy.
Yeah.
But you can kind of see what happened with that.
So it'll be interesting to see what the Jets do with their picks in the draft.
Oh yeah. And now we have signing with the Colts for 1 year, $65 million. Xavier Rhodes.
Yeah.
A cornerback.
Now that one's interesting because that's Xavier's coming back to the Colts. He started with the Colts.
I think he wanted to end his career with the Colts anyway because he liked the franchise. So that one doesn't really surprise me that he re-signed with the Colts.
Yeah. Now he went to the Vikings for a while though, didn't he? And he had some success, but the last couple of years really haven't been kind to him.
No, because he hasn't really been getting what he needed to around his team to really help him win. And because that's a big thing with him, he likes to win, but they really don't have any really key pieces that can help them win consistently.
Yeah. Well, I mean, their defense is already really solid, so he's most likely coming in as a backup role anyways.
Yeah.
As just depth for that, for the defensive backs.
Because he does have a few defensive setups that he is almost spot on for, and I guarantee that's one of the reasons they re-signed him, to fill in that spot.
Yeah. But like I said, that Colts defense was impressive last year, and if they can be at least... if they can show a modicum of that, then the Colts should be fairly well off in the South next year.
Yeah.
So next, we've got a couple of signings out of Denver. One that we reported on last week was Justin Simmons actually being franchise tagged. Well, he and the Broncos have now agreed to a 4-year, $61 million deal.
And that one actually surprised me because... Yes, he is really good, but I was not expecting that price tag.
I mean, yeah, the price tag is like wow for a safety.
Like, because I was more expecting, it's like, okay, yeah, he's franchise tag, he's gonna get maybe $55 million for like 3-4 years. No, $61 million for 4 years. That you're set. I'm sorry, you are.
Yeah, it is a little bit surprising that they spent that much on a safety, especially when their most dire need is a quarterback right now.
But he is that good, and he definitely puts in that depth that they need on the defense.
I mean, yeah, definitely keeping your defense solid is a must. You've got it in because Simmons he's a great player.
It's like, especially with how you have Tom Brady and Gronk still on the Bucks, you're gonna need that safety to beat the Tom Brady passes.
Yeah.
So that's definitely
well, and they're probably more thinking about him being able to defend somebody like Darren Waller from the Raiders, and the likes of Travis Kelce with the Chiefs.
Yeah.
You really don't have. Let's see who. Yeah, I think those are the two best tight ends in the division right there.
Yeah, right there.
Yeah. So I mean that's probably more what they were looking for, is somebody to help them, keep the likes of Waller and Kelce from getting behind them.
Yeah, it makes sense because you want someone right there with them.
Yeah, and then the other signing for the Broncos was corner Kyle Fuller from the Bears. They signed him off of a 1-year, $9.5 million deal.
Which that one was actually surprising because I was actually expecting him to stay with the Bears.
I mean, yeah, I understand why they let him go, because they were trying to free up some cap space, but I am surprised they didn't try to renegotiate a new deal with him.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure, don't quote me, but I guarantee when they tried to restructure it, because I guarantee they did try, the price tag was too low for himself. So he figured he'll go out and see if he can find a better deal, and he did.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, I'm surprised he's only getting a 1-year deal from the Broncos and not something more along the lines of a 2 or even a 3. But then again, they
Cap
did just
space.
pay a massive amount to Justin Simmons, so
Yeah, but you also still have to take into consider the cap space now.
yeah. But
So-
the signing of Justin Simmons to the deal that they did tells me that they're either going to look in the draft for a quarterback or they're okay with having another crappy offensive season.
Which I'm pretty sure they're looking for one more of those seasons so they can get one more good draft round to actually get a couple good pickups in the next year too.
Now remember, officially nobody tanks in the NFL. That's
No.
only an NBA thing. Officially.
Oh no, you've said it that officially no one fully tanks. What do you call everyone who purposely tried to lose?
What do you call the Jets last year?
Yeah.
I mean, they couldn't even pull that one off right. They ended
had-
up giving up the first round, first overall pick to the Jaguars again.
And who are they about to get? One of the best quarterbacks coming into the game.
Arguably,
Yes.
He has not been tested in the NFL. We've seen so many guys sit there and be highly touted out of college, and then they've just done nothing.
Because you can't only say number one overall will be the best person. You see Tom Brady.
Yeah.
He was picked up late in the first round.
I present you Exhibit A, Jamarcus Russell with the Raiders.
Thank you. He was a good.
That is a name Raider fans do not invoke lightly.
No. And I know
oh
that.
God, that is so terrible. It is so terrible. But I mean, you've got you've got Blake Bortles who came out and he was highly touted and he really didn't turn out to be much. Gardner Minshew, he wasn't really highly touted coming out, but he played somewhat well that his rookie year coming in for the injured Nick Foles. Then last year he was just terrible.
Yeah.
So
he was probably a one-shot wonder.
yeah, but I mean, look at the likes of Johnny Manziel. You've got so many. You really have so many examples, especially over the last decade, of guys who were highly touted coming out of college and they just didn't do much of anything.
Yeah, because they weren't able to do anything. Because what round and what pick did Patrick Mahomes come in? Number 1, right?
I don't remember exactly.
I know he came in the first round. I just don't remember what pick. But
yeah, see, I don't remember either.
But now we go into the Giants with Kenny Gallaudet, a wide receiver who signed for 4 years, $72 million.
This was huge for the Giants. They needed somebody. They needed the veteran presence and the solid performance of a guy like Kenny Gallaudet.
Yeah, and he would definitely hold up the wide receiver role as a number one as a wide receiver, and he can also walk on with the number 2s and 3, and to help them get better to actually figure out how to beat out their defender.
Yeah.
And so he is definitely a big man to do that.
Yeah, and that's a huge steal from the Lions.
Yes, and that would definitely help them this year, especially with the re-sign of Kyle Rudolph, the tight end who signed 2 years, $16 million.
Yeah, well, now they're actually getting Kyle Rudolph from the Vikings.
Yes.
And so but with his play the last couple of years, I'm not surprised that the Vikings let him go. I'm not even surprised at the Giants signing him.
But if you also look back at the last couple of years, he hasn't really been getting a lot of hits either.
No, he hasn't, because ever since Kirk Cousins came in, he's seen a decrease in his performance.
A lot, and I
think the Vikings overpaid for Cousins to begin with.
And the Giants, one of the big wide receivers they love hitting is the tight end. So having someone who has hands as a tight end for them will be good.
Oh yeah,
because they like using the wide receivers.
Plus Rudolph, he's a solid blocker as well.
Yeah, so that's a good mix right there. A blocker who can easily get open.
Yeah.
And he's a big target too.
Yeah, well, the whole thing is he's not going to be a deep threat or anything like that. He's going to be a solid blocker, and he's going to be an end zone threat.
Yeah, and especially he's a short and mid-range wide receiver when it comes down to it. he does not really go further than like 10 yards.
Yeah, I wouldn't trust him past that anyways.
But there was actually that one play with the Vikings. He did get a good catch about 15 yards out.
Yeah.
But, that's besides the point.
It was a smart signing by the Giants.
Yes, it was a really smart.
And for $8 million a year, that's nothing.
Yeah. And then we go into...
Look at us talking about $8 million a year like it's chump change or something. It's like, I wish I made $8 million in 1 year. Then I'd be set for the next 30.
Yeah, exactly. I can have a mansion at that point.
Nah, forget the mansion, man. I just have me a solid car that works.
But I would love this next deal, though, because I could actually have a mansion and keep it.
Oh, yeah. This next one was huge. And this just happened today.
Yeah. Andre Jackson, a cornerback who signed with the
Adoree
Giants.
Jackson.
Jackson, thank you. Who's a cornerback who just signed with the Giants 3 years for $39 million.
Yeah.
That is huge.
And I believe, if I remember reading it right, I think something about 20... It's either somewhere between 16 and 20 million of it is guaranteed right off the bat.
I want to say it's 20 million guaranteed.
Yeah, it's. I mean, that's huge.
Hey, you can go out with that 20 million. Hey, I'm gonna buy 6 cars. I'm gonna buy this house. I'm gonna buy this.
Don't forget about the taxes on that, though.
Yes, but
and New York has one of the highest tax rates in the U.S.
Yes,
so.
I know, but I'm just saying, it's like, hey, he can have a Lamborghini now.
Yeah.
And actually, if it breaks down, actually pay for it.
But Jackson, he's a really solid player. He's a good pickup for their defense. These picks tell me one thing from the Giants, that they are ready to finally start competing on a consistent level.
Yeah, and because they haven't been good for a long time, and now with what we've been saying the last couple of years, that they've been picking up the pieces and drafting the pieces to help them win.
Yeah,
and you definitely saw that this last season, basically just trying to get.
Oh no, this last season the NFC East was horrible.
Oh, I know, but it's like you can definitely tell just how they played the game, that they were trying to win, and they put out as much effort as possible to try to win. They just kept coming up short.
Yeah, and I mean the whole thing is, so one of the things for me though is it basically tells me that being in position to win the division, even though how badly they played, but then eventually losing it to Washington, that probably stoked a fire up somebody's ass.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
You know, that's what these picks tell me. You know, and it'll be exciting to see what they go for in the draft, to see, you know, where it is that they're trying to, you know, they still have a few holes. They've got some holes on the offensive line, but going and getting a top-end wide receiver, a decent corner, and a decent tight end. I mean, Adoree Jackson, he's better than decent. He's
great.
He's a good level player. I don't know if he's at the great level yet, but he's like so, you know, the way I rate him is like top is great, next is good.
Well, the thing is,
after that is decent, and then is mediocre, and then is just terrible.
Well, how I also rate it is amazing, great, good, mediocre. You should be out.
I think we're probably going to have to come up with like a scale system at some point that we can agree on.
But
and
that's
so that way we
how,
can like rate some of these players and you know actually find out where each of us thinks they are.
But remember, two different people, 2 different ratings.
Right.
It's fun.
No, it's perfectly fine. But like we should have like some kind of we should come up with like an agreed upon scale in which to rate them. So like either you could still rate them higher than me or rate them lower than me or whatever. It doesn't matter. It just like it would just be interesting to see where we rate them on the same scale.
Yeah. So basically 0 to 10. 10
Something
being
like
amazing, 0 being second.
I think Adoree Jackson, he's probably a high-end 6, low-end 7.
I say he's closer to a 7. 7 to a low 8. He is definitely up there, and he definitely will help the team.
Yeah.
So
next we've got a key re-signing out of Seattle, and that is the Seahawks re-signing Chris Carson, their running back for a 3-year, $24.6 million deal.
Which is a big deal because they needed that running back, and because he did amazing this last couple of seasons, and especially this
He's
last
been
season.
so solid for them.
Yeah, and they would have been really dumb to not re-sign him, because if it ended up being free agency and they did not re-sign him, another team would pick him up and give him a good deal because he is that good.
Yep.
So if they didn't pick him up, their backfield would not be that good.
Yeah, and there's really not a whole lot that we can really say about him. His production is basically definition enough of why he should have been re-signed, and he was. So the Seahawks making a smart move right there.
Yeah. And now we go into the Patriots. Raekwon McMillan, a linebacker who signed a one-year deal with the Patriots that is disclosed right now, and
undisclosed,
which I want to really know what that deal was too, because it's probably not going to be that much.
The biggest question out of that one for me is, why didn't the Raiders re-sign him? Because he's a good linebacker. They traded for him from the Dolphins. Why didn't they re-sign him, especially with the help that they need in their linebacking core?
I know why. They're going to tank.
I don't think the Raiders fans could take a year of tanking.
Oh.
I don't think John Gruden could ever take a year of tanking.
Oh, he's going to tank, and for one reason, to get high picks.
I mean, yeah, you know what? The high picks are always a plus side of having a bad season. But you know what's better than having a high pick?
Good players.
Super Bowl ring. That Super Bowl trophy in your case. At the end of the day, it's Super Bowl or bust. And like, I get it. Sometimes you need a higher pick to go and get a decent player that you need to fill a key position. But right now, most linebackers that end up getting drafted end up coming out of the middle rounds anyways. I mean, so many of the greatest linebackers have come out of the mid rounds.
Yeah, you're not wrong, but I really want to see basically what they're thinking this upcoming year, because that is a bad move on their piece, and I can say that.
It definitely was.
Because they needed that piece, because we've seen them play this entire year, and they did not play as well as they should have, because they needed that line. And getting away with even one single piece in that line weakens that line. Yeah. Because
I don't understand why they didn't re-sign him.
Yeah, but he needed to stay there.
But it was a good pickup by the Patriots. I mean, they've got so much depth at the linebacker position right now. It's clear to see that they're
Belichick is trying to come back.
Yeah, it's clear to see that they are absolutely trying to gun for another Super Bowl. It'd be interesting to kind of maybe see if we have a New England Tampa Bay Super Bowl this year.
No, I still see a Kansas City Tampa, because Kansas City is at the top of the mark, and especially with Mahomes gonna be coming back after that surgery, and because it's only a torn ligament in his toe, he'd still be able to run. He'd still be able to throw.
Oh yeah,
He's still gonna be the same player.
Yeah, I'm not even saying that Mahomes won't be able to play, because he will, and we know for a fact that Cam up against Patrick Mahomes, there's just it's no contest. Patrick wins every time.
Yeah, and 10 out of 10 games, Patrick is gonna win. Unless
your defense can somehow shut down Patrick Mahomes, you're not going anywhere.
No, because he has an arm, he has an eye, and he can throw across his body with that much power and still get hit his receiver. On top of being able to run.
I mean, we got to go back to the Super Bowl. He was horizontal as he was being tackled, and he still threw the ball. And completed it to Travis Kelce.
That was a really good throw. And then he actually had another one where he was actually horizontal with the ground.
Usually they make throws when they're vertical, dude.
But being horizontal with the line and actually throwing it, going through the defender's hands and hitting off his player's helmet.
Yeah.
It's like if they made
was that the play I was thinking of? I thought he completed that one to Travis.
No, he made the play to Travis, and Travis caught that. But there was another play to one of his wide receivers that nailed his wide receiver in the face, and he wasn't able to hold on to the ball.
All right. Well, this isn't the okay. I understand. We're sitting there heaping a bunch of praise on Patrick Mahomes, but that's not what we're here for. So we need to kind of get back on track.
Okay. Now we have Ryan Izzo, a tight end who was traded to the Patriots from the Texans for
traded to the Texans from the Patriots.
Thank you.
For a 7th round pick.
Yeah, traded to the Texans for a 2022 7th round pick, which I don't know how well that one was. How good of a play that one was, because he is an okay player, but I still think a 7th round pick is a little high for him.
Well, how much lower are you gonna go? There's no 8th round. I mean, it's either a 7th round pick or it's nothing, really. Because I mean,
drop him.
Izzo, I mean, the fact that the Patriots got something for him is a plus, especially with how well he didn't play last year.
Yeah, and so it's definitely gonna be interesting what happens with them next year.
Yeah. So next we're jumping over to Kenyon Drake being signed by the Raiders for a 2-year, $11 million deal. And I think it's a smart move by the Raiders. It gives them a little more running back depth behind Josh Jacobs. And so it seems like a smart move. That doesn't seem like they're paying, they're $5.5 million a year. That's not bad.
Roughly.
For a running back who has maybe 3 or 4 years left in him.
Yeah, and he is definitely still a decent running back, and he's definitely going to be a good back for like a second string, because he would definitely be able to help them if for whatever reason that the starter gets injured.
Yeah, plus he's a good receiving back out of the backfield.
Yeah. And now we're going over into the Lions, who the Lions released Chase Daniels, one of their quarterbacks, and that one is surprising to me. Yes, he's a second string, and they're releasing him, but you won't really able to see how well he was gonna do.
Well, we kind of got a glimpse of it the year before when he was with Chicago and backing up Mitchell Trubisky. He really didn't show much. Yeah, he showed a little bit here and there, but
he didn't really have the pieces with the Lions either.
He probably wasn't getting as much practice time with the Lions as he was with the Bears.
Yeah.
So it's a little more understandable, but I can't fault him. Jared Goff is an obvious upgrade.
Oh yeah, definitely.
He's obviously better than Chase Daniel. And so
by a long shot.
Yeah, I'm not at all. I'm not wondering why they did this. I can kind of understand that.
Yeah.
One that is a little surprising is the Bills signing Mitchell Trubisky for a 1-year, $2.5 million deal.
Which I do agree with you. That is surprising because they already have a good quarterback, but.
Well, the front office of Buffalo has already said that they're purely signing him as a backup. That's it.
Yeah.
They have no intention of. They're really not even trying to train him up or anything like that to make him trade bait. They're bringing him in because he has similar skill sets to that of Josh Allen.
Yeah.
And so if something happens to Allen, they have somebody who has that skill set ready to take over the team.
Yeah, and that's actually what I was going to get into.
Oh, sorry.
Because he is almost the exact same player as Josh Allen. The only real difference is he's a little bit smaller. Because John Allen is 6'6".
Josh Allen.
So he is just a little bit smaller than Josh Allen.
Yeah, but not by much. I mean, Trubisky he's a tall guy. I think he's like 6'4", 6'5".
I want to say he's 6'4".
So he's still a fairly tall guy. So like I said, they're both tall. They both have cannons for an arm. They can throw the ball far.
And they can both run.
They can both run. Like I said, they've got similar skill sets. So that was most likely the idea of bringing him in behind Josh Allen.
That was a good pickup for them, because now you actually
We'll
have
see.
because you also have someone who, again, has a similar kind of skill set to Josh Allen. So now you have a second player to fall back on for whatever reason.
Yeah, that is always the idea behind bringing in somebody who has a similar skill set.
Yeah.
But I mean, the hope is that you never have to use your second string quarterback.
Hope.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. But now we also have, which I'm glad they did this with Alex Mack, a center who signed with the 49ers for a 3-year deal. Not sure what the deal is yet, but I want to know. I really do. Because a center being signed, question is, how much? And I'm hoping we find that out soon, because that is going to be big.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they just re-signed Trent Williams to a big deal. So it'll be interesting to see how much this deal ends up going for. Mack is, if I remember right, he's still in his... he's in his late 20s, but he's getting close to the 30s if he's not there already.
He's getting close. He's about where his prime is.
Yeah, but he's played really well, so it's for all intents and purposes, it's a solid signing by the Niners. It looks like they're really trying to shore up that offensive line to protect Jimmy Garoppolo or whoever ends up being their franchise quarterback going forward.
Yeah, and so I would be definitely surprised if it's anything lower than $20 million. I really would be, because
for 3 years.
For 3 years, it's like the first year will probably only be $8-9 million because of the cap, but that means he's getting paid a little bit higher for the next 2 years.
Yeah, and with the cap supposed to be, what were they saying? Something like $235 million within the next 5 years.
Yeah, so it's like basically the cap space is getting bumped up next season anyway, because we should be out of all this COVID stuff.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's pretty much all the news we have going on today. Like I said, a lot of moves happening here and there. A lot of big moves. Well, I mean, there were some pretty big moves in there. Obviously the biggest ones to note are, once again, Juju Smith-Schuster, Kenny Gallaudet, Adoree Jackson, Deshaun Jackson to the Rams. So...
And then I do want to just hit one small piece. It's like
kind of run. We're already at 50 minutes.
It's like I just do want to hit one small piece. It's like, just from all the trades at this moment, who is still a playoff contending team?
Oh, I mean, right now I'd have to say probably every team that made the playoffs last year is still a contender this year.
Yeah,
because it doesn't seem like they've lost any huge pieces. It seems like mostly the teams that have lost big pieces and kind of leave you scratching your head wondering why they're doing this are the teams that didn't make the playoffs last year. So it seems like they're trying to make big splash moves so that way they can get there.
Yeah.
I'd have to say it looks like it's probably going to be a good battle between the Giants and the Washington football team this year.
And then
in the East.
Yeah.
So I think with the key moves that the Giants have been making in order to give Daniel Jones a more solid wide receiver core,
exactly,
and working on that defense of theirs, it sounds like they're probably the team that may be ready to take that leap forward and win the division. I mean, I'm not saying that the NFC East is going to be totally better than it was last year, because, oh my God, it was a dumpster fire.
An insane dumpster fire. It's like Hobo jumped into it and lit themselves on fire.
Yeah, it was absolutely horrible. But, I mean, we did manage to see some bright spots coming out of there.
Yeah.
We did see the Giants playing a little bit better late in the year. We saw the resurgence of Washington, and we got to see...
And both of those teams have made good pickups this offseason, and they are definitely going to be a good challenge for everyone else now.
I think we got to see a resurgence of Alex Smith.
Oh, yeah.
So wherever he ends up going, it's going to be interesting to see. I He did sign with somebody. Who did he sign with?
He didn't sign with anyone yet.
No, he hasn't.
No,
okay.
He hasn't signed with anyone yet.
But we got treated to the show of Taylor Heineke in the wild card game against the Buccaneers.
Yeah.
So that was nice too. So we have that to look forward to as well this coming season.
And then the Jets are almost there to be a playoff contending team too.
I don't know about the Jets though. That's gonna be interesting to see how well they do.
Yeah, that one will be interesting, but I definitely want to say it's like they'll probably get a little bit closer to where they need to be.
Yeah, I think probably the only team outside of winning their division, the only team that may be looking like they're ready to get back to the playoffs would be New England.
Yeah.
With all the spending they're doing, it's
spending free.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there was a little factoid about the money that they've spent in free agency this year has almost been as much as what Robert Kraft bought the team for in 1994.
Yes.
And that was insane.
Yeah.
Just to think that the salaries have come along that way.
Yeah.
That much. So, but yeah, so I'm thinking the Giants and the Patriots are probably the only teams that are ready to at this point ready to take that leap into the playoffs. Not saying they're going to win a Super Bowl, but
to push their way into the playoffs.
Yeah. I definitely
actually put themselves as a competitor to get into the playoffs.
Yeah. So, like I said, I think the Giants and the Washington football team are going to be battling it out for first place again this year. And then, New England, right now, with the moves that they made, I think they're a solid second place in the AFC East.
Yeah. So, that's why I just want to hit and just see what your thoughts on that one was going to be with all the trades.
Yeah. I mean, and of course, we still have more to come. I think free agency is shut down right now until after the draft. And then, of course, there'll be a flurry of more moves.
Yeah, and I want to say the draft comes in about...
couple weeks.
3 weeks, I want to say.
April 29th. So we've got, about maybe 4 weeks.
About a month.
Yeah, but it's coming pretty quick.
Yeah, and it will definitely be interesting what moves happens. But...
yeah. With that, we're going to go ahead and wrap this one up today. Keep tuned in over the next couple of weeks because we're actually going to be doing a little bit more of a deep dive of the divisions and their respective teams as we kind of break down where they currently stand, where their holes are that they need to fix in the draft.
Yeah, and we'll definitely be doing a real deep thorough picks on who we think are going to win that top spot in their division.
Yeah, and of course we're going to try and fit in a mock draft in there somewhere.
Yeah, and because we really want to get that mock draft for Tom Brady a little before the season starts too.
We're not going to do for the mock draft. We're not going to do a full draft. Obviously, we're not going to sit there and plan out all 7 rounds because that's just way too much to do on a show like this. We're going to do at least the first round though.
Yeah, and it's like basically just switch Tom Brady into the number 1 and just move everyone else down 1.
Oh yeah, well with the Tom Brady draft, that's something completely different that we'll do later on down the road.
Yeah, and then I was gonna say it's like the first round we're gonna see just basically what is going to happen with trades and everything within that draft.
Yeah. So we hope you continue to join us. We hope you like what you've heard so far. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We really could use the likes and the subscribes and the views. Just we need every help. We're still getting started here. I'm slowly working on stuff. We finally have a new logo.
Yeah, which I do like, and you did a good job on that.
Thank you. I worked my ass off. But so we hope that you continue to join us, and until the next one, we'll see you later.
Bye.